Well, this story is a true story. This is part of my life, part of the most significant part of my life of all time. It took place in March of 1982.
Sunset, I let myself down, found the ground beneath my feet gone. No more words went to speak. On that day my song was born. Never meant to leave you.
For me, how it functions is no matter how far removed I get from the ideas of the miraculous and the miracle and godliness, I still know that one night, I was allowed inside of a miracle, and it'll forever be, and I'll always hang on to that.
Till the sun comes up again. Reach for the sky, keep your eye on the prize. Forever by my side, you're my golden sunshine. It's raining in your mind, so push those clouds aside. Forever by my side, you're my golden sunshine.
One night, a buddy of mine and his wife had come down to Florida. This was, I was actually staying in Pompano at the time, and the actual event occurred near the beach in Fort Lauderdale. This place called Christopher's was a nightclub, and in this nightclub, it was a big nightclub with a big disco, definitely a big disco dance floor, and a very upscale type of a setting. My buddy, his wife, and myself, when we finally got to the club, we came in, and the place was actually very, very crowded when we got there. But through a little bit of luck, on a kind of a pedestal above the regular floor, which also on the pedestal was where the dance floor was, we were able to get to a table. And the three of us sat down at the table, ordered some drinks, and we looked around, and lo and behold, at the table next to us was a very famous, actually a Hall of Fame professional football player that was the quarterback of the New York Jets when they won the Super Bowl, and they were a significant underdog, and that happened years before this particular event. He had about 5 different women sitting with him, as if like from the United Nations. Everyone is different looking as the one next to him. We were having a very, very good time, and the club was filling up even more, and it was getting packed, and everybody was dressed to the nines, really straight out of what one would expect from the heyday of Studio 54 or any of the other kind of famous clubs that you might have heard of, where people were definitely partying from 10 o'clock at night till after sunrise, and would sleep all day the next day. That's the kind of atmosphere. Anyhow, out of this mass of people where you really couldn't distinguish, because the club was actually relatively dark too at the same time, 3 women came walking towards us, and we were sitting. I could see these 3 women, and one of the women had what appeared to be a golden glow coming down over the top of her and bathing her in a golden light. 2 other women were there. Nowhere else in the whole club was there any of this kind of golden light shining down on anyone. And immediately when I saw this golden light, I took even more notice of this woman. And this woman was wearing made out of ivory, a Mogen David around her neck. And it was actually relatively large, maybe about this big or this big in size. And they were coming towards where we were seated. And of course, for them to be able to come to this pedestaled area, they would have had to walk maybe another 150 feet or something like that. And they would have had to somehow get around all of these other people that were trying to find a place to be comfortable. And at that very moment, the table behind me, the people left. Kind of hard to really consider at the time, because the night was, in a sense, just beginning. It was maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and anybody knows anything about the nightclub scene for singles, 10:30, 11 o'clock is normally about start time, not ending time. So maybe they had somewhere else to go. I don't know. I have no idea. But as this woman is walking towards me, I'm just absolutely enthralled by her. And I don't want to let the opportunity for her to be seated somewhere near where I'm seated to pass me by. So anyhow, there's a rail. There's a rail all the way around the pedestal to stop people from being able to fall onto the floor below. And it was maybe the pedestal was only elevated 2.5 feet, something like that. And as they were coming, I waved to them and I yelled to them and I said, ladies, would you like to get this table before anybody else gets it? And they looked at me and they said, sure. And they were going to try to do this 150-foot walk to get to it. And I said, no. And I got up out of my chair and I helped them come between the rail and the floor. There was a gap about this big, and I helped them, all three of these ladies, like sneak under this thing so they could go directly to this table behind me. And the woman that had the golden light on her was the last one to come underneath. And I said to her, as soon as you guys are comfortable, if you would like, I'd love to have the opportunity to dance with you. And eventually, when they got comfortable, they sat down. I called over a cocktail waitress and I said, buy these three ladies a drink and put it on my bill. And I'm about, at this time, 82, I'm about 32 years old. Because I had become a committed bachelor, and I was very, very fond of that bachelor lifestyle by that point in my life. And so I waited, and they sat down, they had their drinks. I walked over to her. There was a song that came on. I can't remember what one, but it was one that I thought, I'd be comfortable dancing to, and I do like to dance, and I've always liked to dance. And as a young kid, I was a very good dancer. So anyhow, I went over to this woman with the ivory Mogen David, and I held my hand out, and I said, can I escort you to the dance floor? And yes, that was her words. Yes. I walked in and I woke him up. It must have been past 4 o'clock in the morning. I woke him up and I told him that I had met the woman I was going to marry.
Fighting for your soul, taken from the world above and brought down into this world below. You're a warrior, fighting for your soul.
Anyhow, I ended up marrying that woman,
Taken
as you
from the world
fully know, and I have a son and a daughter because of it, and a wonderful, loving, unified oneness kind of a life.
I said, reunite them, return the princess to her king. Reunite them, reunited, she's been taken for so long. Reunite them, and then she'll be filled with joy. I said, reunite them, reunite.
Do you see it as something that could be understood cognitively, like through science and through
I
logic?
I think for me, how it functions is, no matter how far removed I get from the ideas of the miraculous and miracle and godliness, I still know that one night, I was allowed inside of a miracle, and it'll forever be, and I'll always hang on to that.
Close your eyes and breathe in. sense of freedom. It's ringing across the sea, land of milk and honey. One day we'll wake up from this dream, we'll stop sleeping. Oh, yo, 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 then we'll see clearly.
Use the experience to grow since then? Like, is there any way that it's become a part of your conscious reality?
Well, I'm certainly, if nothing else, you know, if somebody asks me, I say straight out, I believe in God. I say I don't know what I believe in terms of religion, but I know I definitely believe